The polls are now closed in Israel's election, and early exit polling showed the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu with an edge over his main rival Benny Gantz, but it is not clear if he will earn enough support for a majority. This is the third time in less than a year between the two of them that the Israelis have voted. Analysts say our key ally in the Middle East has not yet made a clear decision this time either. Trey Yinks is watching it live in Tel Aviv. What do you got, Trey?
Bill, good afternoon. That's right. For the third time in under a year, Israelis headed to the polls today, and we are getting some preliminary exit poll numbers about this race between Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of the Likud party and his main opponent, Benny Gantz of the Blue and White party. It does appear yet another political deadlock in Israel, but a slight victory for Netanyahu. Let me explain. The way the system works in Israel is that you need 61 seats in the Israeli Knesset. This is their version of the parliament to form a coalition government and then have the ruling power. Right now, according to the three major exit polls from the Israeli channels, Netanyahu will have 60 seats in the Israeli Knesset. This is one seat shy of that majority that is needed. The key factor here, though, to consider is the former defense minister, Avigdor Lieberman, who is going to hold, according to these exit polls, anywhere between 6 and 8 seats. If those seats do go to Netanyahu's main opponent, Benny Gantz, it would put Israel in yet another political deadlock, which would then make a difficult decision for Israeli President Rivlin as to who he will give the nod to attempt to form a coalition government over the next 28 days. There will be a week period in which the president will have to make that decision. But again, we do not know until we get the formal results whether or not Netanyahu will be given that nod by President Rivlin to try to form a government here in Israel.
Very interesting as they move forward on that. Talk about the backdrop to this race, Trey.
Well, there's a lot going on here in Israel. Later this month, the prime minister will be facing his first trial for charges of corruption and bribery. That paired with a number of regional conflicts unfolding as we speak. An active conflict in Syria between the Syrian government of Bashar al-Assad and Tayyip Erdogan's troops in Turkey. That taking place just to the north of Israel. Additionally, rocket fire from Gaza just last week. And then the coronavirus in attempts by the Israeli government to try to ensure that that does not spread across the Middle East. What we saw today, more than 4,000 voters who had been to countries affected by the coronavirus actually headed to special polls here in Israel in an attempt to make sure that they were not going to spread any of the virus that was taking place here in Israel. There have been multiple confirmed cases, a major concern for the Israelis as well as the Americans. Bill?
Thank you, Trey. Trey Yinks watching the results there in Tel Aviv. Thank you, sir.